Is it possible to develop alter personalities and dissociative identity disorder that are from animals, such as cats and dogs? The answers may be surprising to you, and we're going to drill down into this, into what may cause this. So hello everyone, my name is Autumn Asphodel, and I am a coach to help you live your best life and find your true purpose. And you can schedule a free consultation over at autumasphodel.com/coaching. And today we're talking about animal personalities, animal alters that you may switch into when you're dissociating if you have dissociative identity disorder. So enjoy the video. If you've dealt with dissociation to the point of developing alter personalities, then you may have some that are non-human. You may have alter personalities that may be animals and control your life as you act out what you think that animal does. This is identical to otherkin, which is a topic we covered in the past, so be sure to check that out. But now we'll be approaching it from a dissociative perspective. What if you feel like part of you is an animal and you dissociate into this part? Otherkin is essentially a mental illness where the individual wants to escape some trauma that happened to them. It's a coping mechanism to help deal with negative past memories or situations. Now combine that with dissociation and we'll understand the reasons why people with dissociative identity disorder can have animal alters and personalities. DID forms from past trauma during childhood. This chronic abuse splits the personality. If we analyze that moment the fracture occurred, we can uncover the reasons why some may develop animal alters. Since it's a coping mechanism, what if trauma occurred to the individual when they were around an animal? Perhaps their dog was the only thing they could go to and hold that could help them deal with the abuse from their parents. This individual may have a far deeper connection with that animal than the overwhelming amount of people do these days. The dog may have been their comfort during the times things go bad. As they age, they may encapsulate this dog as an alter and become it. The dog may be considered a protector to them. On the flip side, if the dog caused trauma to the child, then they may encapsulate that dog as an abuser and become it when triggered into that state. For example, if a child was abused by their parents and they had a dog that was trained to attack the child when they acted up and were given orders by the parent, that deep-rooted trauma will stay with that child, fracturing them. The abuse was done by the parents, but physically the dog was the one inflicting the wounds. So this person will have a deep-rooted fear of dogs and even take on the personality of the dog that has caused them trauma. So dissociative identity disorder is when you have multiple personalities that stem from some sort of trauma. So when it comes to animals specifically, well, we can kind of relate that to another mental health issue, which is otherkin, which is people who believe that they are animals. Now, the honest truth is, we all know that we are human beings. We cannot be another animal. We cannot separate ourselves from being an animal. Technically, we are an animal, but we are a human being specifically. We cannot be anything else but a human being. No matter what we do, body modification, trying to pretend as such, we will never actually be anything but a human being, because that is how we are. But these other people may actually believe that they actually are an animal. And when it comes to dissociative disorders, this is where you can really differentiate otherkin versus dissociative identity disorder. This should be clear that trauma involving an animal in some way will create an alter personality state of that animal in the abused person. So the difference between animal alters and dissociative identity disorder and people who are otherkin should be quite clear. People with DID and animal alters are caused specifically by abuse from the past that involve animals in some way. Otherkin is escapism of one's own low self-esteem, hatred towards self, and or need for escape from life. They are both coping mechanisms, but for different reasons. Both are a coping mechanism for trauma, but are projected differently. It's important to know the difference to get proper treatment. If you're dissociating and becoming an animal, it's likely linked to past traumatic incidents involving an animal, which is DID. If you want to be an animal and think you are one because it's too hard being your authentic self, then that's otherkin. Treatment is different between the two, but the foundation is the same to get to the root of the problem, which is almost always past trauma, self-hatred, and grudges that prevent the person from moving on. Once those are addressed, then the problems of dissociation and thinking one is an animal would dissipate. It's not easy to tackle the deep-rooted trauma from the past, but it's important to get the appropriate help you need to finally be free of the struggle you've been dealing with. Please be sure to check out my Overcoming Your Trauma course for more insight on how to do this. Let me know how this works for you. Have a great day. When you're dealing with a dissociative disorder, when you're switching from the human state that you're in to this animal state, very likely it is linked to some sort of past trauma. Whereas in otherkin, for example, it's kind of related, but the main difference is that yes, there's going to be some sort of trauma. There may not necessarily be a dissociation there. There will be to some degree because you're dissociating from who you actually are, but there may not be like these blackouts. It may not be directly linked to some sort of trauma, but maybe it is a need for escape. It's a coping mechanism that you escape from. So that is the difference. But when it comes specifically to DID, it often is because there is some sort of abuse that happened in the past that is either from an animal or the animal was there in some capacity, whether it be a comfort animal that helped you during the traumatic memories and traumatic events from the past, or perhaps the animal did harm to you. Whatever the case is, these are traumatic things that happen, and it's very important that you seek psychological help to be able to overcome those, because no matter how difficult it is, there is a way to overcome that and to work on that. So I know that with enough time and dedication to it, you can no longer allow the past to affect you. Be sure to check out the amazing merchandise over at Asphodel's shop for some inspiring designs. I'm sure you'll find something amazing. Also, become a member. $5 up and above will get you early access to new content months before it is publicly available to anyone else. Also, you can check out my course, Overcoming Your Trauma course, to remedy some of your trauma, which is available to members. So I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, and if you have any sort of animal personalities that are linked to any sort of trauma. I'm really curious to hear it. So you all take care, have a great one, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.